Welcome to Wisdom from the Area of You, the podcast for those who seek comfort, joy, peace, and all good things in their lives. I changed it a little bit, Mark.
You changed
a
it.
little monkey wrench into it.
Just to tell our guests what it normally is supposed to sound like is that, this is for the podcast for those who wish to crush their anxiety and find meaning and purpose in their lives.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
But Enid has a way of upending me pretty much every week.
Keeps you on your toes, huh?
She does. So Enid, let's introduce our guest.
Oh, I'm going to do that. That's why I'm just so happy to have our guest today, because it's somebody that I have not known, but as I just told her before, I knew her father. Just shows you how old I am. Our guest is a good friend of Mark's, and hopefully will be a good friend of mine too. Her name is Susan Molinari, and she was a former Congresswoman from Staten Island, New York. So we have 3 New Yorkers on this podcast today, which always makes my heart twitter, because this is great.
Same.
Yeah. After being elected to Congress in 1990, she went on to win, 5 times. My goodness, that's remarkable. It's terrific, which is why it's another great reason to have you on. And after her time in office, among other positions, she went on to become co-host of the CBS News Saturday Morning Show, chair of the Century Council, a nonprofit corporate social responsibility program. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then became vice president of public affairs at Google for the Americas and oversaw dozens of policy offices throughout North and South America. Beyond that, she was on the board of Harvard University's Kennedy School Institute of Politics, the American Action Foundation, APCO Media, and I can go on and on and on. Also, she was selected as Woman of the Year by Glamour magazine, something I've never had. I read the magazine.
Nor I.
Years ago.
Nobody ever selected me.
Nor I.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And was recognized by Time magazine as one of the 40 most influential people under 40. That was just about 2 years ago. Yeah. But to me, the most interesting thing on your resume is something that I'm really excited about, and that was the American Italian Food Coalition.
Yes.
The chairwoman of the Food Coalition. We have to go into that. We have to talk about that in greater depth, but my goodness, the American Italian Food Coalition. Now, I can fit half of that. I'm American. I'm not Italian, but I like food.
And I bet you like Italian food.
I like Italian anything. And Mark can talk in Italian, so we're pretty good. Anyway, we're so delighted to have you here. We really are. And Mark has been, you've got to meet my friend. You've got to meet my friend Susan. I said, well, I've heard of her. I've read about her. I know everything she's ever done. I agree with her politically. She's terrific. Mark, go ahead. Ask her a question, because otherwise, my show here.
Actually,
I love you too, Enid.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
I'm actually enjoying this very much. And as I'm listening, I'm thinking, what's she doing with us, right? I mean, come on, she's so accomplished, right?
Stop it.
I know.
You guys have changed and saved a lot of lives, I believe.
Well, it is, a joy for me to have you here. We've known each other for a while. And, one of the reasons I wanted to ask you to join us is because we talk a lot about meaning and purpose. And you have very clearly embraced some very fundamental criteria for how to live your life and how life should be lived and how to treat people. And I thought, besides this gigantic resume that you have, I've gotten to know a little bit more about you in terms of the kind of person you are. So I thought you would actually be a terrific person to talk about these topics that are certainly important to Enid and me, and I know important to you. So I know Enid is chomping at the bit to ask you about meaning and purpose. So go right ahead, Enid.
Well, I'm just intrigued by all you've done, and Mark and I have been having conversations about when people are done with one career and they go on to the next one and they think about things. Does the feelings and the work that you did the last time stop? And with you, they haven't stopped. Yeah. You keep going. You keep going. You are committed. You have a purpose, and your life was meaningful and is meaningful and will continue to be meaningful.
Thank you.
Tell me, if you will, how you keep doing it. How do you keep doing it?
Well, I've been blessed that opportunities come my way. I'd like to think that, as you said, my father. So, I was raised on his knee, and he was a justice warrior. He would not take no for an answer when he was fighting on behalf of his constituents or just doing what he thought was the right thing. And he very much imbued that in me. And so, another thing that I'm doing, Enid, is we're working with a coalition to create female crash test dummies because right now there are none. And so that's something that goes kind of to the heart of what I did in my congressional career. What I'd like to do was to find those niches where no one else was working and speaking for the people who had no voice in the congressional chamber. So I worked with Joe Biden on the Violence Against Women Act, on the rape DNA kits, on business associates. I was co-chair with Elizabeth Dole on the glass ceiling. So these are things that have always, again, I've been so blessed that if I can do that, I feel good about myself. And really at this stage in my life, it is what totally fires me up still.
I love it. In fact, I read your article in the Charleston Gazette Mail about the female crash dummies. Yeah.
You've done your research.
Well, I get paid so much to do this that I have to do this. But it was an intriguing piece. I never really thought about the fact
Nobody did.
that they don't care about us in car crashes, God forbid. So yeah, the piece was great. I was glad that you did that. I'm glad that you're vocal about these things. Keep it up. We need this.
Well, it's interesting, Enid, and Mark, I don't know if you've read it, but in 1970 they designed the first male crash test dummy. In 1990 they decided, well, maybe we should take care of women too. So they just shrunk it. Well, what we call shrink and pink it, right? They just took the male crash test dummy and put it in the passenger seat. So we still don't have one that is biofidelic to women, even though by DOT's own estimates, we're 73% more likely to be injured in a car crash, 17% more likely to die. And even with the little shrink pink, they didn't even put us in the driver's seat yet. So that's something that just kind of goes to my gut. Anyway, that's one of the things I do.
I'm trying to figure out why I'm here. I think I'm going to get my wife to take over because I'm in the, you need another woman here. I'm useless at the moment.
No. We can talk about stoicism and all those things.
I actually did read about, we had coffee not too long ago, and I remember you telling me about that. And I did read an article about that afterwards, which was interesting because no offense, but who thinks about these things? I guess I wouldn't even know whether the male crash dummies are anatomically correct in the terms of injury. So the point is, it's interesting that you took up. And to me, that is just an expression of, what it is you're really after. So you and I have talked, many times about life in general and why we're here, and the things I like to obsess about. But it's interesting to me that you have, like Enid said, you continue to pursue not only these issues, but there's something to me, there's a deeper level to that, right? There's a reason that you don't just say, look, I've done all this stuff. Look at my CV. I've had so many important jobs, I've done so much work. It's time to just, take it easy and it's not my problem anymore. But you don't do that. And so the question is, what is it that motivates you to, like Enid said, not to keep going, but not just in terms of doing projects. What is it you're after?
Well, that's a good question. What motivates me? Partially ego, let's be honest about it. It's still nice after all these years to be called to do something and have somebody trust you with their efforts. I do take it easy. As I said, and I'll say 100 times, I've been blessed. My husband and I just celebrated our 32nd wedding anniversary. My 2 children are employed at this moment. Anyway, they're both healthy. We talk almost every day. So that's kind of enough, right? I mean, that's 99% of it. But I do get a feeling of fulfillment when you can do nice things for people. Like, not to toot my own horn, but, I walk down the street and if there's a homeless guy there, I go buy him pizza. It's just, it's like, the conversation I think we once had, is there anything intrinsic? Because when you actually give something to somebody, you get something back. So is that intrinsic? I don't know, but that's my philosophical question. And so now that I'm semi-retired or pretty much retired, I do actually enjoy my day and get motivated by doing little nice things for people.
You know, when we first met, it became clear to me, and I don't know why this happens, Susan, you know, but there are certain people you meet and you just know this is a good person. This is an interesting
Thank you.
person. This is somebody that's worth spending time talking to. And so I think what you're saying is the things we talk about all the time, that it's almost like cheating. When you do things for other people, you feel so great. You feel a little guilty. Like, I can't really I feel too good, right? Maybe I don't, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but I also want to bring up a conversation that I had with you when I was concerned about my children, who are adults now, and the direction, and, you know, what did I do? Did I do it right? You know, all those questions we constantly ask ourselves, or at least I constantly ask myself. I don't think your wife does, because she doesn't have anxiety, so
No.
we'll skip that. I know, but I was questioning myself looking back, and you said to me, "Let me ask you one question. Are your children kind?" And I said, "Oh, yes, they're very kind and respectful." And you said, "I'm going to cry." Well, then you've done your job. And that stays with me, Mark.
Well, I don't remember that actually, but I'm happy you didn't have another story to tell that wasn't quite as flattering. No, I think that's right. I think that's right. I think that's what we talk about all the time, and it's why, you know, you made the statement. Well, it's ego, in the sense that it's ego because you feel good when you do these things. And isn't it interesting that we're wired that way? Imagine if we were wired that if we did good deeds, we got nauseous, right? Nobody would ever do a good deed, right? Right? Who wants to be nauseous? But we're not wired that way, right? We do a good deed and we do exactly what you just said. You feel good and you look around and going, I'm feeling a little guilty. I feel too good about that. You know, it's funny you should mention, there's a guy in Bethesda, Maryland, which is, for those people listening, is a suburb of Washington, D.C. And periodically I'll meet a friend for lunch or something. And that's a kind of a good area to meet. There's a lot of places and it's convenient. It's easy to park, et cetera. And there's this guy, I think I'm going to guess now he's in his 60s. He's in a wheelchair and he's always sitting in the same place. And he's very gregarious. And, you know, he always wants to give you a fist pump. And of course, he's hoping you'll give him something, you know, some money. And, you know, so I almost always do. And, you know, when I do that, people say to me, well, you know, if you give people who are begging money, it only encourages them to beg more. And I think, well, I don't think sitting out in the heat and begging is like my idea of a great job. So I don't think people do that unless they really feel compelled to. And he's also handicapped. I think he lost a leg. Here's the story he told me. He lost a leg in the military. I don't really care if the story is true or not. It doesn't really matter to me. But so anyway, you do a little thing like that. It's really a nothing burger, you know. And of course, you can't help but feel a little, you know, a little jolt of satisfaction. And like I said, it's almost a little feeling of guilt. Like, it was easy for me to do. It was really nothing, whatever you gave him, you know. But you do feel this little sense of joy. I don't know what it is. A sense of fulfillment, meaning, purpose.
Yes.
Right.
And I guess I would, now that we're having this therapy session with me on this topic, that if more people had that attitude, wouldn't this be a safer, kinder, better world? Like, I'm going back now because I just saw the Odyssey, so I can't stop, you know, thinking about Zeus's law. To those of you who haven't seen it, it's if a guest enters your house, you treat them well because it may be a god. And then they extend it in the movie to say, you know, anyone that you meet, you should treat them well because they may be a god. And of course, the whole story is that, you know, they don't. And things didn't turn out very well for them.
That's right.
But, you know, that's a very condensed, no spoiler alerts there.
Well, so I asked you a question. You were talking about doing good, and obviously, but you were in a dirty business for a long time, the business of politics. And I believe it is a kind of a dirty business. And you've been entrenched in it for probably your whole life. And then you married a politician too.
Yes.
So politics was in your blood, has been in your blood, and now you're out of it, thankfully. But so what got you, besides your dad, what made you decide to enter that line? And what made you decide to leave?
So it's just a thing I was comfortable with. You know, when I was very young, they'd have political meetings at at our house. When my dad got sworn in for Congress, he got very sick, so he couldn't be there. So I gave the speech thanking everybody for coming. And so that aspect of the job, I was always very comfortable with. I would see what he would do to try and win fights. And I do have to tell you, and so there's just such a part of me, and perhaps why I'm so angry right now, that still believe it will be again, that this is a noble business, that, 90% of the people are there for the right reason and do lead with passion. And I have to tell you, I know I sound like a Pollyanna, but when I was there was a lot of bipartisan agreements and a respect for one another. Like when I watch some of these Senate hearings where members of the administration come in and just crucify other senators, and the Senate, even as a Republican, I would be, no, like this is not how we do not conduct ourselves like this. We don't curse when we're on the stand. We don't treat our, people who are coming to testify. You can be tough on them, but you don't have to be sadistically rude. And I just didn't see a lot of that. Maybe because I was, the only Republican in the New York delegation, but I worked with Daniel Patrick Moynihan. I worked with Al D'Amato. I worked with Chuck Schumer. I mean, yes, we would fight. Yes, we would have political issues. Sometimes they'd even come in and campaign against me. But if there was something that we needed to do together,
We did.
because our districts overlapped, we did it. It just was a whole different, it really was a different time.
Yeah.
I would say, so we have a no politics rule on this. So no, I'm not telling you what to say. No. I shouldn't have said that. What I meant to say is you can say anything you want. Enid and I, when we talk about it, you try and stay away. And it's not because Republicans or Democrats buy sneakers too. It's because, the things we talk about. What I would say, interestingly, is I hate that too. I cannot watch a congressional or senatorial hearing anymore because they're all rude. Democrats, Republicans, administration, everybody's rude, disrespectful, all this cursing on both sides. Like, what? So,
this isn't just a Republican thing, for sure.
To me, this is a reflection of what we talk about a lot, is that our society, it's a reflection of the society. It's not the other way around. The Congress isn't leading the society. The society is giving us the Congress we have. So that's the issue. And it comes down to what you said earlier about kindness and how to treat people. And it's funny you said that about Zeus's Law. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm familiar with that. And I've obviously read The Odyssey many, many years ago. And I believe very strongly that, how can I put this? That not necessarily that there's a God walking into your home, but that somebody's paying attention. Maybe it's like, I know you're Catholic, maybe it's a Catholic thing. I'm not Catholic, as you know, but that somebody's paying attention, and that there is, like, this karma thing is real. It's real. So, and every time I find myself behaving in a way that I know is not optimal, inevitably, like 5 seconds later, I get whacked in the head one way or another, right?
Totally. Of course. Yes, there is karma. And honestly, when I gave pizza and I've done other things, but this one, I was walking by him. He was really cute. He had a little sign that said, "I'll take anything." And then when I smiled at him, he said, "You have a great smile." I was like, "Wow, I haven't been flirted with in 50 years. So here's $2, sir." But what it came down to was, I had been in an office that morning, and I complimented this little girl. What's her name? She was 10 years old. And I said, "Well, you have beautiful hair." And her mother started crying. See if I can get through this. And she said, "Thank you for saying that. She's been undergoing chemo for 2 years, and her hair's just starting to grow back." So I start telling this story while I'm getting my nails done. And the woman next to the woman doing my nails said, my husband will find out in 5 days if he's cured. So I'm walking back and I'm thinking, wow, how good is my life? So that was kind of what I was thinking of when I walked 2 blocks away and then said, screw it, and walked back and got him pizza and Gatorade and candy and chips and things like that. Just as almost a thank you to the universe, Mark and Enid. That's really what it was. It was like a thank you.
Well, let me tell you why I brought up the politics. I brought it up because not to talk about politics, although you and I agree on that, but to talk about that we have lost the vision of kindness
Yes.
throughout. But the reason I'm intrigued by your political career is because you did so much good while you were there.
Thank
You were a
you.
champion of so many things. The other thing that I found wonderful in your bio is this whole, you're on the advisory board of an organization called We Protect, about for children. You
Yeah.
still give a great deal of your time for those who are less fortunate than we are. And that's the thing that I find so compelling about you. You never
you.
stopped. You never stopped.
I
You might,
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
well, it's
Thank you.
true because you keep giving back. And we have this podcast that we keep talking about for months and months. We've been doing this about giving back. And why we do it, and so much of it is because it helps us. We're
Yeah.
helping somebody else, but in the process, it helps us. It makes us better people. And you have
Correct.
been doing that your entire life.
That's
And
very
you're
kind of you to
still
say.
doing it. No, I mean, I respect you. And I think that our listeners should understand that it doesn't stop when the job stops. It doesn't
Right.
stop. I hate this word retired. You didn't retire. You never retired. The only day,
No.
the day you retire was the day that you're like 6 feet under. You did, you didn't retire, and you won't retire because you have so much more to give. Mark said, he left his job at the
Yeah.
radiology, but he never retired because he's still going on. We have so much more to do and so much more to
Absolutely.
give in this world and this
Yeah.
life, and you're doing it. So you didn't retire.
Well,
just
thank
want
you. No, and the truth is, and as you guys know, yes, you have those priorities when you're younger. You have to go out, you have to take care of your kids, you have to feed your kids, you have to have a job, you have to do those things to, keep the family together. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself, I thought I was going to be oh my God, I don't have a job. Who am I going to be? And I have a Marcus Aurelius quote about that, if you care.
Yeah, let's
But
hear it.
yeah.
yeah, so I saw this on Instagram today. And my intellectual vast learning stoicism on Instagram. And it says, things you shouldn't do, tying your ambition to an identity outcome you don't necessarily control. Which I thought,
Yep.
God, I wish I heard that when I was like 20. But so now, in addition to some of the things that I do, I've gotten my identity through friends. I never had time for like a gaggle of girlfriends where we go to the movies and meet for lunch and text each other and be there for each other and, have that second family. So and my husband and I are traveling and have that time together that we try to make, but, cut it short because, there were just other responsibilities. So, I sort of feel like in many ways I'm in the gilded age of my life.
You are.
Yeah. Well, I think so. When I met you many years ago, and I don't know why this happens, but I alluded to it before. Sometimes I just get a chance, I can just kind of see into somebody's heart. And it became clear to me that you had a really big heart, that you care about people, you want to do the right thing. Yeah, and look, we all have ambition. If Marcus Aurelius had come to you when you were 20 and told you that, you would have gone, oh yeah, right. You're right. You would have blown him off, right? So,
hey, I'm an Aries. I control my identity.
That's right.
100%.
You would forget it, right? That's the problem with all these things. We say, I wish I knew that I was young, but
Yeah.
Most of us
I know
won't
you
listen.
have a whole theory. I know you have a whole theory on
That's why
why
we're
we get smarter
learning.
as we get older.
Yes, we get smarter as we get older. Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? It's completely backwards, but that's the way it is. So, but there are certain things we can learn when we're young, which is that you're in complete control of how you feel.
Correct.
That don't give away that power, because so there are certain things we can teach young people that are so
Absolutely.
empowering. And what you just said is, kindness, be kind, and look, if you're young and you don't want to be kind for the right reason, be kind for the wrong reason, which is it comes
True.
back to you, right?
Yeah.
Make it selfish. It come back to you. So, we all look back at our lives and some of the things we've done, and luckily, I don't think any of the three of us have murdered anybody or committed a felony. I think we're pretty good people, but we've probably done things that we're not particularly proud of at some point or another. But that's okay, because
Yeah.
as long as you keep moving forward and have that sense that you clearly have embraced, that A, you're super grateful, and B, you want to give back as much as you can. And if it's for what the three of us think is maybe the wrong reason because we feel so good when it happens, that's okay too, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel good when you do things for other people. I think that this is, to me, this is the message that we need to flip. We need to convey this message, because when you look at the place you used to go to, the House of Representatives, of Congress, the Capitol Hill, we see the reflection of the society, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
It's really bad, right?
Yeah.
And it's up to each of us to change that. And one of the things we talk about all the time is, you've heard me say this, Susan, our mission is to evolve from selfish to selfless, from inward focus to outward focus. It's that idea of turning the camera around. Instead of me, making it about other people. And we've lost that. I mean, your parents, your father and mother, and our parents, clearly that it was never about me, right? In fact, if you took yourself too seriously, you got
Then you'd be in
smacked,
trouble.
right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And we've kind of lost
Absolutely.
that. So, but that's
Can I
why we
tell-
keep trying.
Can I tell one story about
Yeah.
my beginnings in politics? It just shows, I think, how far we have devolved. So I was minority leader of the city council. I was the only Republican in all of the New York City government at 27 years old. Ed Koch was mayor. And one day I went down to him and I said, Mr. Mayor, your Secretary of Transportation just did a whole report on the Staten Island transportation system or something, and he won't give me the report. And Ed Koch said, sit down, have a seat on the couch. And I was like, no, that's okay. I don't want to take up your time. Sit down and get a cup of coffee. He called the secretary and said, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't hear what he said. And then I said, well, thank you so much. Should I go get it? And he said, no, you sit here. And Ross Sandler walked over to Koch's office, handed me the brochure, apologized for it. And Ed said to him, you remember one thing. We may be different parties, but we got here the same way. You respect her.
Yeah.
So that was one of my first lessons as myself as a politician. So,
That's a good story.
It's a
Isn't
great
it a
story.
great story?
Did
And it
he,
happens to be true.
Did he ask you how he's doing?
Probably. Undoubtedly.
Why don't you can explain why I said that.
He's a character,
Right.
Yeah. That was his big line, right?
That's a big
Speaking
line.
of egos, he would walk the streets or anybody he'd meet and he'd go, how are you doing?
Right.
He only
How am I
wanted one
doing?
answer.
That's right.
Can I ask one more question? We did a whole podcast on the difference between happiness and joy. And
Oh,
let me ask you, I know we're talking about things that make us happy, but tell me, what brings you joy? What brought you joy? And what brings you joy now? Not happiness.
I was going to try. I know I was going to do this because I think we're video. So my kids, obviously, when my kids just decide to text me or call me, and it's sweet and it's not complaining or asking for money. Those reasons aside.
What makes you happy? Yeah.
But I have an adopted dog and an adopted cat. And I am rarely happier in my life right now. When my husband's home, I'm home, and I'm with my cat.
Well, we lost you, Susan. Can
We
you
lost
hear
the
me?
song.
Yeah, we lost our guest.
I guess she's most happy is I'm not talking to us anymore.
I think that's right. Well, it's okay because we actually have come to the end of the show. So I know you can hear us, right, Susan? Yeah, she's nodding.
Yes.
So unfortunately, we have lost her for the last 30 seconds. But since you can hear us, I just want to tell you how grateful we are that you took the time to do this. You're a remarkable person. I'm glad to call you a friend. And maybe she just threw us a kiss, by the way. Thank you so much. And we will hopefully do this again. Oh, and a heart too. It's so sweet.
And I'm
anyway.
Well, you friend too. That's great. So good. This is great.
All right. So I will just say thank you again, Susan, and thank you, Enid, and thank you everybody for listening. And we will see you next time.
Thank you and peace.